A few months back, I brought to light the surprisingly high amount of Portal games or Portal-adjacent games available to play on Steam or various other places. I talked about the obvious ones like Portal 2 and Portal 1, some less talked about games like Aperture Desk Job or Bridge Constructor Portal, some popular fan games like Portal Stories Mel and Portal Revolution, and even some of the weird bottom of the iceberg games like LEGO Dimensions or Mario. 10 or 11 games is a lot for a series with only 2 games, and I thought it would be fun to compile them all together to talk about in a video. That video performed phenomenally, and I am very grateful for that, but the comment section absolutely mortified me. What about Portal the Flash version and Aperture Tag? Great video! I just want to say, you missed some big mods, like Rexora. You didn't talk about Aperture Tag or Thinking with Time Machine. Come on! Try Portal Prelude RTX. You forgot the best mod, Forbidden Testing Tracks. It's so good that it has better reviews than Overwatch 2! How many Portal games are there? Too many. It would simply be impossible to find and play every single random Portal game to have ever been made, because I'm sure there are dozens and dozens of teeny tiny little mods that slip through the cracks of time and will never see the light of day again no matter how hard I search for them. So I guess we'll just have to play what we can find. The most commonly mentioned game in my comments was Aperture Tag, and after doing a quick search on Steam, oh yeah, it does look pretty popular. Money? This game costs money? If you're gonna make a Portal mod cost money, then you better be confident that it's worth it. So, is Aperture Tag, the paint gun testing initiative, worth $5? The same price as, I don't know, Brotato? Well, the answer to that is, sure, I guess. It's hard to put a dollar amount to how much you enjoyed something, but Aperture Tag, unlike most games we'll be talking about in this video, brings something new to the table that is actually interesting. The gimmick of this game is the paint gun, which replaces the Portal gun with Splatoon. Every puzzle is centered around the gels from Portal 2, which just so happen to be some of the best puzzles in that game. The blue gel makes you bounce extremely high, and the orange gel makes you run really fast, and the paint gun lets you be completely in control of where they go. If you think that's a fun idea, with one massive flaw being that it's far more creatively limiting than the Portal gun, then we share the same sentiment because that is unfortunately true. There's only so many puzzle ideas you can get out of Bounce High and Run Fast, and despite how short the game already is, the novelty dries out faster than an inkling burning alive in the sun. Still, Aperture Tag is the good kind of average, where despite its overall averageness, it's still short, sweet, and charming. There are also a few fast-paced parkour sections in this game that, while being kind of bullshit sometimes, are really fun uses for the gels and make the game a lot more memorable. I definitely recommend trying the game, but wait for it to go on sale, which it fortunately seems to do often enough. The next most obvious game I missed in the last video was Portal Prelude, and its re-release, Portal Prelude RTX. I honestly have no idea how I missed this one when it came out alongside the release of Portal RTX, but knowing what I know now, I would have been better off not ever playing it because this is the first Portal game I really don't like. We finally have an example of how to not make a Portal game. Portal Prelude is nothing but infuriatingly precise platforming sequences with armies of turrets scattered everywhere with no rhyme or reason, and borderline unfair time limits to boot. Despite all of that, the chamber designs were so loose that I managed to cheese my way through most chambers, ruining the satisfaction you're supposed to get from solving a puzzle. Fortunately, this game has a story that I kind of like actually, taking place on the day GLaDOS gets plugged in. After surviving all the frustratingly hard tests the human scientists throw at you, you're allowed to witness GLaDOS' birth firsthand, which goes so horribly wrong because she instantly decides to kill everyone immediately. For the final part of the game, you're tasked with finding and inserting her morality core before she can finish killing everyone. Once you do, the game ends ambiguously, as it doesn't really seem like the core worked on her, and you're dragged to the facility before you succumb to the neurotoxin. There's an after-credits scene where you can spot G-Man for some reason, but as you can see with this footage, it's important to note that this game runs like absolute dog shit. This is the RTX version specifically, and every moment with the potential to be exciting or interesting was absolutely ruined by whatever the hell this was. I like the story well enough, which is why this wasn't a complete waste of time, but if you find yourself playing through the multiverse of Portal games like I have, it would be best to willfully ignore this one's existence. Thinking with Time Machine is a surprisingly catchy title. I can't tell if it's a play on the Thinking with Portals bit or some other form of uncomfortable wordplay, but either way I kinda dig it. Similarly, I kinda dig this game. Thinking with Time Machine is another Portal mod that comes with its own brand new gimmick. Can you guess what it is? Visually pleasing aesthetics! Being as deep as I am to this rabbit hole, it was a really nice change of pace to have completely revamped visuals that brought color back into my eyes. On top of that, there's also a time machine. There's an asterisk on time machine, of course, because this game is nothing like Portal Reloaded where you get to travel between past and present to solve puzzles. No, in this game, you're able to record your actions in one moment and then replay those actions via a phantom shell that's able to interact with the world. So you essentially have to solve one half of the puzzle, record it, and then do the second half of the puzzle while Shell 2 does the first half again so the puzzle can be fully solved. It's a really neat idea. Unfortunately, this game is very, very short, like an hour and a half long with only 9 chambers. There's not too much story to speak of, though I like how the beginning of the game takes place seconds after the final scene in Portal 2, and basically tells you, just kidding, your freedom's not real, it's time to keep testing. I really like pretty much everything about this game, which is not something you're going to hear me say about any of the other games for the rest of this video, so if you came here looking for a strong recommendation, play this one. It's worth your time, especially considering, it's extremely short. Words cannot describe how bad this one is. I mean, I'll have to give it some benefit of the doubt. Maybe it got better near the end. I didn't actually finish it, so who knows? That's right, the first Portal game that made me give up was Portal Forbidden Testing Tracks, a game so rotten to the core that I can't help but shudder to think about it. For the full hour I spent playing it, I was confused by many things. There's room after room of puzzles that were already solved, and no explanation as to why you were going through them. There were new machines that defied all logic and were implemented terribly, like these random orbs of light that worked as mid-air launch pads? The game was studded with AI voices of GLaDOS and Cave Johnson, and I'm really not a fan of that, especially because they sounded awful.
If you're hearing this, congratulations on being selected for the most important job in the world. This simple test should give you an overview of the basics. We're looking for applicants who can think outside the box and enjoy working on their own.
The puzzles that weren't already solved were really weak, and whatever story the game was going for did not grab me at all, probably because of the AI voices. These testing tracks were forbidden for a reason, and I genuinely forbid any of you from trying it out. The rest of the games fortunately don't get worse than Forbidden Testing Tracks, but I've struggled to find any that really bring anything to the table. Rexora is a Portal 1 mod that focuses almost exclusively on the energy balls. There's pretty much no story to talk about, it's considerably short, and GLaDOS is voiced by a British person, which is way better than AI, mind you, but the writing for her is sadly very weak. Oh wait, she is AI. Then why is she British? Despite everything, the puzzles are pretty well made, so if that's all that matters to you, by all means, give it a go. To be honest with you though, if the game was any longer, I probably would have given up. It's a good thing the creator of Rexora didn't make another Portal 1 mod that's inexplicably 6 hours long and less inventive. Fuck! The only mod I found that was never mentioned in my comments was Portal Pro, created by Benjamin Bryant, who made Rexora. I've got nothing against the guy, but I really didn't want to finish Portal Pro. The puzzles were challenging and very well made, but after so many of these mods, 6 more hours of standard puzzles was just too much. No thanks, I'm full. Does that mean we're done here? Have I played every Portal game known to man? Of course not. We haven't talked about one of the most influential Portal games of all time. In the last video, I talked about Mario, which was a 2D browser game that used Adobe Flash. There's another Portal game in the same ballpark. Do you know what it is? Of course you do! It's Portal 364, the true sequel to Mario, and Portal 2 has been right under our noses for years. Explore over 3 levels of Super Mario 64 inspired platforming with an emphasis on mechanics featured in the Portal franchise, such as the Portal Gun, turrets, light bridges, and so much more! I didn't actually play this game. Anyway, let's check the comments to see if I'm really missing anything. Okay, so I genuinely thought for years that Cave Johnson and Carolyn were married, only for y'all to come along and ruin my unintentional headcanon. Whoops. It was also pointed out that I mispronounced Carolyn in the last video. Double whoops. What is this? Portal Flash? Why, I've never heard of such a thing. Portal Flash! It's here, just like you said! I figured the most interesting game to end this video on is what may technically be the most successful Portal fan game of them all. Portal, the Flash version. This was a 2D platformer that was released in 2007 using pretty much all the same mechanics from the first Portal game, like the turrets, cubes, and energy balls. Weirdly enough, this game also features impassable platform beams and red death lasers that, as far as I could tell, predate the light bridges and thermal discouragement beams from Portal 2. Does this mean that Valve ripped off the people who made this fan game? Yes. There's a total of 40 levels that dramatically range in difficulty, but overall the game shouldn't take you much longer than an hour to fully complete. Since it's an old Flash game, Portal Flash is no stranger to jankiness and weird controls, but that clearly hasn't stopped the Portal fanbase from remembering and celebrating the 17-year-old labor of love. Which is really surprising, because most of these older fan games tend to be obscure. It's almost like Valve canonized and remade this game or something. Oh, it's totally because Valve canonized and remade this game. Let me introduce you to Portal, the Flash version map pack, which is now a misnomer because this no longer takes place in Adobe Flash at all. The developers of the original Portal Flash decided to translate their game to 3D, remaking all 40 levels in the traditional Portal style as a mod for Portal 1. In a crazy turn of events for these creators, 14 of those chambers were modified and brought over as bonus levels to the Xbox Arcade release of Portal Still Alive. Now, it might have been a bit much to have said that these levels are officially canonized, but I mean, they're in a canon game. That's closer than anything else has ever got. Unfortunately, Portal Still Alive was forced to stay trapped on the Xbox 360, meaning you'll have to go out of your way if you want to play these levels. It seems like they might have been included in the Nintendo Switch release of Portal the Companion Collection, but I can't say for certain if that's true because I don't feel like buying the collection. And that's it! Every Portal-related game I can get my grubby little hands on. There's more out there, I guarantee it, but not only am I extremely burnt out with these games, I genuinely don't think there's much more products of actual quality to be found anymore. I may be wrong, please let me know if I am, and the silver lining is there's plenty more fan games on the horizon that we should all be excited for. I've especially got an eye out for Portal 2 Desolation. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and if you want to be on my coveted cool people list, consider subscribing as well. I'll see y'all next time when I spend several hours explaining Portal Pinball. Adios.